All right. The table topic for today is, can capitalism coexist with fair distribution of global resources today? Well, long story short, I think the answer is absolutely not. Capitalism is very powerful, okay? I'm not here to shit on capitalism at all. However, it is a very flawed system. Capitalism has given us all the innovations that we enjoy in today's life. It motivates people to take risks, to innovate, and to create for the world. However, the system is set up, at least in today's world, where once you are rich, you'll become more rich, therefore have access to more and more resources. And because the world, Earth, as of right now, has limited amount of resources, space, labor, everything that we can do as humans, it becomes a zero-sum game. I don't think there is infinite growth in society today, okay? Basically, the argument here is that for capitalism would be, while anyone can make it because there's always opportunities out there, and that if you just apply yourself and you are very deliberate in how you apply your time, your energy, your resources, you will get a share of the pie. And I think in theory that is true. However, we are seeing that increasingly it is harder to move up. It is harder to have that mobility to say, well, if I apply myself, then I can move up the ladder. And why is that? Well, it's simple, okay? It's really to do with math here. So, let's say the economy grows at 7%, okay? It's about the stock market. Let's say it grows at 7%. But the GDP only grows at 2%. Well, where's the difference going? And what we see here today is that, well, if the economy itself is only growing at 2%, but the stock market is growing at 7%, that 5% difference, what's happening is that the rich, the people who own the capital, let's call it, are redistributing resources, wealth, from the middle class. So the middle class is getting sucked dry, and eventually there won't be a middle class. And once there's no middle class, the system breaks and there's going to be a revolution. Why is it like this? How do we get here today? Well, it's because of how capitalism works, okay? Because you're able to invest your money in the market, you get more and more money. Well, if you're a capitalist, you're not going to let the money just sit in a bank account and get devalued due to inflation, okay? So think in the lens of a capitalist. Okay, I'm not an evil person. I'm not trying to screw anyone over. I'm just trying to deploy my capital. So if I'm deploying my capital into the market when my rate of return is at 7% on average, let's say, I'm deploying to the market. Well, inevitably, what's that going to happen is it's going to drive up costs for everybody else. So if I need to deploy my money into the market, well, housing, groceries, whatever, just goods in general will slowly go up. And once these basic necessities are priced out of, let's say, the middle class, then the system will just completely break down. So I think we are, in today's world, reaching a stage where we're already seeing the effects of capitalism not really working as intended anymore. Now, of course, in today's world, as of now, 2025, I would say it is still possible to move up if you are given the correct resources or the correct circumstances. But it's only going to get worse. So basically, reiterating my point that I think capitalism cannot coexist with a fair distribution of resources. In fact, I think if you redistribute wealth today equally amongst the 7-8 billion of people on Earth, within one generation, you'll end up with all the money piled up at the 0.1% once again, because that's just how the system's set up. What do you think?